I feel like Satan took over the whole country. The violence was so bad. If somebody wanted to kill you, they probably could, and they probably could get away with it. Corruption doesn't start from the bottom, it starts from the top. We started kind of plotting to come to the United States illegally. We got stopped by like Border Patrol. If we get sent back, we get deported back to El Salvador, they're gonna murder us because we try to escape. I'm just happy to be alive, man, because there's a lot of people that didn't make it.
After I have that first one, I'm no longer in control. I really wanted to quit. And then I would wake up the next morning and have no choice. I'd lost my identity and I didn't know who I was. I just had nothing left. And I needed help so bad. It all came down on me. I could not pull myself out of it. I had hit rock bottom. I just knew I was gonna die. And I remember just praying that foxhole prayer, like, God, please just get me through this moment. I'll stop doing bad. I will stop everything. The goal of my podcast is to not only educate people on, mental health, but also let people know that they're not alone.
Dude, welcome. Welcome to Rise Above. How was your ride over?
It was a little inconvenient just because I thought it was going to be easier to get off work, right? But then I still made it happen, though. But I actually live in the Worcester, Massachusetts area, and I work in the Waltham, Massachusetts area, which is like an hour distance, right? So I drive an hour east to work every day to work and where I work. So then I basically, to get here, I had to drive like 3 hours almost,
I appreciate you taking the trip, man.
But it's only 2 hours back, though, because I live more to the west,
Yeah. What do you do for work?
I work like at a metal finishing shop. Like the warehouse, like I do all that labeling boxes and stuff and making sure stuff gets shipped out with UPS and FedEx. It's actually pretty simple. It's a pretty good beginner job,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Have you been doing that a while?
Since I got out of high school, I needed a job. So, yeah.
Was that 2 years now?
Pushing 3, I think, but
okay. Yeah. When are you going to be 21?
In October.
You're a young gun.
Yeah.
Young gun. I love it. So you are originally from, right now you live in the Boston area, but you're from El Salvador.
Yeah.
What was early childhood like for you in El Salvador?
Well, before I talk about El Salvador, I noticed like last time on Ian's podcast, a lot of the people didn't know where El Salvador even was or what was happening there. So a lot of people were kind of confused on how could that place be so violent? And like Ian made some questions like, why didn't the people just stand up to them? Why didn't they just call the police and stuff? And like, at least to build a setting for El Salvador back then, El Salvador, they had so much crime. The police was completely corrupted. They were working with the gang members, with like MS-13, 18th Street. Those two gangs hated each other, and they would kill and recruit younger like teenagers and stuff. So it was like super dangerous for people to grow up there. And it became dangerous because they had a lot of civil wars there where people were like, where the government was basically stealing, people inside the government were stealing like all our resources and stuff. So the country became super poor. And a lot of people, like they had a civil war where like the rebels versus the government and stuff. It was like a whole thing, and gangs started to form to protect like their little sections of town, you know what I mean? And then through the years, it just kept getting more outrageous, more gang members. Like it came to the point where there was more gang members than police officers. Oof. And my dad used to work as a police officer, and being a police officer in El Salvador was like the most dangerous job you could like imagine, because over there, the police officers were so outnumbered. And that's including the police officers that were corrupt, which were a lot because the salaries were just so minimal that a lot of people would take bribes, you know what I mean? Like to let gang members off the hook and stuff. So the corruption was just completely outrageous from like head to toe, and the whole like judicial system there was just completely crooked. Now we have gotten a new president, and that president, he did some extreme laws against like gangs and stuff. So if you have like any type of tattoo, resemblance, like any tattoo that like resembles or represents like basically like one of those cartels, they're not really cartels because like cartels mostly like distribute drugs. So they're as violent as the cartels, but they get no money. You know, like it's kind of weird in that form. Like they don't really sell drugs, but they like extort people for money. And the police officers, they were so outnumbered, and police officers over there, they would all wear like ski masks because you can't afford for anybody to see your face. You know, you didn't want rumors around in your little town. Hey, that guy's a police officer. Like my dad, when he was a police officer, he used to lie because he was so young. He would be like, "Oh, I'm a student," you know, because he wouldn't want to say that he's a police officer or have people starting rumors that he's a police officer, because over there they would literally target police officers. They knew that you worked for them. All of a sudden, some people are scouting you out, trying to see whenever like you're alone, try to hurt you. And the only way I could describe the country is I feel like Satan took over the whole country. Like it was so demonic. There was murder like for no reason. There have been stories from El Salvador of like 12-year-old girls like being and stuff. It's completely just insane, like the amount of evil that was in that country at that point in time, which was like it got better probably like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So this is pretty recent history, and those gangs just kept evolving for literally at least like 50 years, you know, and they got so massive. They had so much hatred against each other. So it was one gang against another gang, right? And to get recruits, they would go to schools where there was like teenagers and stuff, target teenagers that didn't really have like a family, you know, a core family. Like if, let's say you go to a school and you see the children that look like alone and stuff, maybe the kids that look like they're looking for purpose and stuff like that, they would go and recruit them. And they will tell the children, they'll be like, hey, join our gang. And a requirement to join a gang over there is you got to show like blind loyalty to that gang. So the way you show blind loyalty to a gang is by murdering a family member. That either could be a brother, a father, a mother. It gets super serious. Like it's completely insane. Like it's hard to imagine here, because like here in America, all of a sudden you could just start wearing blue and start saying that you're a Crip. Or you could start wearing red and all of a sudden you're a Blood, you know, start getting tattoos. Over there, they don't play about that, you know, like they had like an organized structure of how it worked, you know, they knew all their gang members. Like, and those gang members were basically like foot soldiers that were sent off by like their higher ups to go collect money. Over there in El Salvador, for you to be alive, you had to pay some sort of like rent to be alive. So everybody was getting extorted. Even like the poorest of the poorest people were getting extorted. Either for like $5 a month, which is nothing over here. But people over there sometimes were making as little as like $50 like a month. It's really bad. So when you're giving like, let's say 5% of your whole income just to stay alive, it's pretty crazy. And at least for us, my father, he left to America because his father kept telling him, hey, you can't stay here. You're a police officer. You're in danger. You know, you can't stay here. Because they started getting like some sort of threats and stuff. So he had to come here to America for his own safety. And he was sending us money while he was here in America, right? He was sending us money. So people started noticing that we had some money. And over there, like help, you know, like maids and stuff, like they're super cheap. They're like $3 a day and stuff like that. So it just made sense. You know, we had some maids. My dad, like, he got us like a car and stuff where everybody else didn't have a car, you know, like stuff like that. We had a nice home just because over there you could literally buy a whole street and it'd be like $20,000, super cheap, you know. So my dad was here. They started noticing that our family was having some sort of money and stuff, and we started getting like death threats and a lot of like literally just threats of like to our lives and stuff. They didn't tell us directly, but I don't know how. But one of like the gang leaders from one of those Salvadorian gangs, he contacts my dad. My dad's here in America. We're over there in El Salvador. He contacts my dad, and he's just like, I'm here at the park. Your wife and your children are here at the park. You know how easy it would be for me to kill them? And my dad's just like, what are you talking about? And he tells him, hey, I'm a gang member from this sort of, I'm a gang member. I'm not sure what set or whatever, but he's a gang member, and he's telling my dad, hey, I could kill your children right now. I need you to send me some money. And my dad's just like, I'm not sending you no money, you know, because he thought he was bluffing. And then the gang member is just like, call your wife. Your wife is wearing a purple dress. Your daughter's wearing a red dress. And call them. Because my dad thought they were bluffing when they were asking for money for our lives. And my dad calls my mom without trying to alarm her. He's like, hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on? What are you guys up to? My mom is just like, oh, I'm just taking the kids out to the park. And my dad's just like, what are you wearing? My mom is just like, oh, I'm wearing a purple dress. And, you know, and my dad hangs up and calls the gang leader back. And he's just like, how much do you need? You know, my dad was going to make it happen, even if he didn't have the money. You know, he was going to do whatever in his power to make sure that his children, they get to live. You know, that's why my dad is my hero. My dad is like my favorite person in the whole world. Like that man. Like, I have seen him wear the same pants every day to make sure that I have the newest Jordans, you know? Like, that man is my hero. I can't, like, I don't even know how to express, like, the emotions I get towards him. Like, you know, I am so grateful that God allowed me to have a mother and a father that loved me so much. I know my dad would give his life for me. And it's just, like, it's a beautiful feeling knowing that you're loved, you know? It really comforts me when, like, I'm down. I'm like, hey, you have people that want to see me up, so let me get up and get to grinding. That's why I have, like, my podcast super small, like 500 subscribers. And I just keep uploading. I'm like, it might get no traction. Like, it might get traction someday. I'm going to just keep uploading because what about if I'm 50 someday and I'm like, damn, I never gave it a try? What about if I gave it a try, you know? Like, I'm gonna die someday either way. Why not give it a try? You know, now that I'm 20, because a lot of people, they deal with addictions and stuff, and they lose years to jail too. What about if I decide to take a different route? And I'm like, what about if I lose 3 years doing this podcasting stuff? You know, it's not as bad as losing 3 years to jail, you know, or addictions, you know. And I'll learn something, you know, I'll learn something about videography, about photos. Like, I love that. Ever since I was like 13, I've loved making like videos. Me and my brother would make like Minecraft Let's Plays and stuff like that. I would edit them on our little shitty laptop. It was like a lot of fun, you know? So it's something that I've always loved to do. And it's great to be with somebody else that like enjoys doing that hobby. And for you, it's a job, but hopefully for me, someday it could be a job too, you know?
So you were born in 2004. Correct.
2003.
2003, and you were in El Salvador until you were 6 years old.
5, 6-ish, yeah.
Okay, so call it from 2003 to 2009-ish, you were in El Salvador. The first 6 years, 5 or 6 years of your life.
Yeah.
Did you feel all of the things that you just described, that was the madness that was going on in El Salvador? Did you feel that at all, or did your parents do a good job of shielding the madness, the gang craziness that was going on all around you? Were they doing a good job of keeping that from you guys, or did you see that firsthand and understand what was going on?
Well, we lived with just my mom. So with my mom, like, she would do her best, but like we could see the worry in her face, you know, and like it got to the point that like, hey, we gotta know not to open the door, and we gotta know why not to open the door. We gotta know, you know, like, be vigilant, even when, you know, we try not to go out too much. Like, literally church and back, you know. My mom is a Christian woman. She raised me to be a Christian man, and I love Christ, and like, he's kept me safe until now, and I know I'll make it way longer because it says in the Bible to honor your parents, and I love literally the shit out of my parents, you know. They did a great job to shelter me from it, but I definitely did see a lot. I remember this one time we went to go visit my grandmother. We were on the bus. And on our way back, you know, we stayed with her a couple of days. On the way back from visiting my grandmother, we stopped by a bus stop, and some police officers come inside the bus, and they make us exit the bus, right? And then they're searching the bus, and I'm like, why are they searching the bus? You know, we're outside the bus, they're searching the bus, and we see like a crowd by the bus stop. We go over to that crowd, and there's just a lot of people. A lot of people are like gasping and they're scared. We go over to that crowd, and there's just a literally like a young adult just dead, like a young man just dead. And I seen that. My mom tried to like close my eyes, close my sister's eyes and stuff, but like I still remember that, you know. There was just a dead body there, a giant crowd just surrounding them, blood everywhere, and over there they use a lot of melees. So it could get like really, really graphic, you know? It's not like somebody shot and you see like 2 bullet holes and a lot of blood. You see like literally like pieces of meat on the floor. It's completely disgusting. And apparently that guy, he owed some money to some gang members. And like that just shows you like how serious the situation was over there. You couldn't really be playing with your life. Yeah, they might be bluffing, but like, is it really worth it? Because the violence was so bad that if somebody wanted to kill you, they probably could, and they probably could get away with it, you know? It was just so easy to get away with it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's completely insane.
At a young age, you're 0 through 5, 6 years old, and you're seeing stuff like that.
It definitely make me like, gain my consciousness like faster. You know how some kids like start remembering stuff when they're like a little older? I definitely like understood that, hey, you know, like my life is in danger and I need to stay safe, you know? I remember this one time, like just to show you how poor the country was, like it would not be uncommon to see like little children's like abandoned by their parents trying to look for food outside trash cans and stuff. It was like, it was so poor, so poor. Like the country was just completely ravaged, just like so dirt poor. And I remember this one time, my mom, she rushes us into a room and she locks it and she starts trying to barricade it. And apparently someone had broken into our house. We were so scared. We were freaking out. You know, we were trying to be quiet, but like our little hearts are like pumping and we were just like full of adrenaline, just scared. Just what about they try to hurt us? What about they trying to kill us? You know? And my mom is just there praying in the corner. And eventually we hear them leave and stuff. And then we come out and we check what's missing. And somebody broke into our house just to steal a blender. That's how poor the country was. Like a blender was like a high, like luxury item over there. That's just how poor it was. Like I never like, it makes me feel so grateful now, you know, now that I'm like here in America, 20, you know, I finished my high school diploma, you know, maybe someday I'll go back to college. I'm learning sort of like a trade at work. It's pretty cool, you know, that I see myself grow, and I'm just happy to be alive, man, because there's a lot of people that didn't make it. And I'm forever grateful to Jesus because, like, he protected me and my family. He kept us safe. And I'm just so happy to be alive, man. You know, a lot of people can't say that. A lot of people probably didn't wake up today. And that's why I always try to keep a positive mind. Even when, like, everything is going to shit, I'm like, hey, you know, I know I have a purpose here in life. Let me try to give my dreams a chance, you know? Because if I just stick with my 9 to 5, I just know, like, the pay, like, gap is just getting wider and wider. And I used to make more money last year than I did this year. I mean, I made more money this year than I did last year, and I feel like poorer, you know? Like, so I'm like, why not give my dreams a chance, you know? I want to go back to El Salvador in the future just because it got so safe now. Like I was saying, that president, he started getting a lot of criticism from, like, people that work with human rights like activists and stuff. He's getting a lot of criticism because he's locking a lot of people up. A lot of people with tattoos, or they look like gang affiliated at all. A lot of them are innocent in the jails. So a lot of human rights activists are coming against the president. But the death rate just completely plummeted. There's like no deaths almost in El Salvador when there used to be 100 deaths per day. And compared to the population, that's like a big chunk of the population dying every single day. Imagine how many mothers and fathers had to cry over deaths, and mostly it was young people. Young people could not be in El Salvador. It was just too unsafe.
What's the population in El Salvador?
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But 100 people a day, that's significant.
It's still insane, yeah. El Salvador is super small, so I can't imagine it's over 1 million, you know? I doubt it, honestly. But to get here, right, we had to, so it started getting so dangerous. They started, like, taking so much money away from my dad, you know, because he had to pay them every month for us to stay alive, that it got too dangerous. So we have to figure a way to come here to America. And we started, like, putting in paperwork to try to get it done legally. And apparently it's like a couple-year wait, and, like, we're not going to make it. And we're probably going to end up dead if we can't afford to pay our rent, you know? So then we started kind of plotting to, like, come to the United States illegally with one of those coyote, like, smugglers. Like, it's like a 2-month trip because El Salvador, it's like a little under Guatemala. You go through Guatemala, then like to Mexico, and then from like Mexico's pretty big, all the way up like north and stuff until you make it to like Texas or through Arizona. I don't know which like route we were taking specifically, but that's what we were gonna do, right? Because it got too dangerous. Our lives were in stake, and it could be up to like at that time probably like $8,000 per person to get smuggled into the United States that you would have to pay to like a coyote and stuff. And my dad did not have that money, so apparently he took a loan from one of his family members, and he took probably like $20,000 to $30,000 loan because you could bundle people together. So it was my mom, my sister, my brother, and me. So 4 of us. So you could bundle people together and it'd be a little cheaper. So my dad took a big loan. He didn't have the money. He was just completely out of money, to pay a coyote to bring us here. And it's like a 2-month treacherous like trip, like a lot of people die. I've heard like it's like mostly headlines and stuff, but it says like 1 in 4 usually don't make it here. That's how dangerous it could be. And at least like trying to make it here to America like that on foot and in trains, in buses and stuff like that, it's super dangerous because a lot of people know that most of those illegal migrants coming in, they have all their belongings with them. Everything that means anything to them, they have it with them. So a lot of like cartels or like small time like robbers, like they would go like to hotspots where a lot of immigrants would go through and just straight rob people for all their possessions for whatever money, because most people would carry whatever they own with them, including money. So it was super dangerous. And in Mexico they don't play either. So like if you're getting robbed in Mexico by some cartel members, like you have no choice but to give all your stuff, and it's just completely dangerous, dude. And I've also heard about some stories of some people getting on like a train in Mexico and like sometimes getting ran over by the train because the train doesn't stop for you. A lot of those people are running towards the train to try to hop on it. I didn't do that, but these are like stuff that I've heard from other like people that have immigrated here. But at least like on our way here, we got stopped by like Border Patrol because my mom couldn't walk no more. We were completely exhausted. Like I was telling you, it's a super long trip. It's not something that you're gonna get done super fast, and it's a lot of hiking. So my mom couldn't walk anymore. We've been walking for days. We were just feeding off like mayonnaise sandwiches and like a little bit of water that we were getting like fill up when we come up on a spring. So we were super dehydrated, skinny. We were over here sharing mayonnaise sandwiches. And I remember my mom giving us basically her rations. She's like, oh, I'm not hungry. And I knew she was hungry, and she would give us her food. And we couldn't walk anymore. So then we basically just stop at like the side of a highway and we just stop walking. We're like, we can't walk anymore. And my mom just starts praying to Jesus. Because if we get sent back, we get deported back to El Salvador, they're going to murder us because we try to escape, right? So we are there. My mom is praying. She's just like, please, God, have mercy on us. Have mercy on us. And my mom always tells the story that my 4-year-old brother, he was there at the time, my 4-year-old brother, my mom is praying, and my 4-year-old brother is just like, Mom, don't worry. Like literally, like he could speak, but not too well. And he's just like, Mom, don't worry. We have an angel alongside us. He's here to protect us. And my brother started like basically prophesying, just saying, we're going to go on a plane. He just kept talking about, we're going to go on a plane. We're going to go on a plane. And we're just ignoring him because he's a little kid and stuff, And he just kept saying, God is with us. God is with us. And these are some of my mom's testimonies that she shared to us. He's just like, God is with us, We're going to make it. We're going to be fine. And we were scared because if we get deported back, we can't walk no more. If we get deported back, right, we're literally going to die. So then we ended up getting picked up by Border Patrol, right? They picked us up. I'm not sure if we were like on the southern like side of the border or like we already crossed it or like in between area, But we get caught by Border Patrol and they had like a lot of translators and stuff. And we honestly got super lucky because a lot of those Border Patrol agents, they could be like, they don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, I don't care, And they just try to like deport you immediately. You know, they don't care about your story. You're like, yeah, we heard this a million times, you know, like sort of situation. But like we got lucky and we had like some wonderful people that I like, even the Border Patrol agents were like crying when my mom was telling them on like the story. And she's just like, well, I'm just trying to live. We had a translator, like they would bring in a translator and my mom would tell them our story. And like, we got lucky. Like, I promise you, God put those people like there because we could have easily just got, bam, deported back, you know? They listen to our stories and they're trying to do whatever they could do from their side to try to help us out, get in the country like faster, legally and stuff. And eventually they're like, hey, can somebody send you a plane ticket? And like my dad didn't have any money, so then he had to ask for another loan, get us some plane tickets. They allow us to enter the country. They gave us court dates and stuff like that. Because at the time, the border crisis isn't what it is right now, you know? Mm-hmm. And those people, like they really, really helped us. Because they, right then and there, if they didn't care, they could have just, bam, put us on a bus, start shipping us back, you know? They really gave us a helping hand when they didn't have to, you know? And we get a plane all the way out here to Boston, where my dad is. And it took like multiple years, but my mom and dad had to go through like courts and stuff like that to try to get us our stuff. But we were so young that and like our story has so much evidence to it that they're like, damn, like for real, like they would see like payments and stuff like that. Like we had like a whole case and explain to us like our situation. And I think we got some sort of like refugee status to like enter the country and stuff. And then eventually we got our permanent residence and stuff. So like someday I would like to travel back to El Salvador and just enjoy the country because it's right next to the equator, beautiful, right there in Central America. And right now it's like some sort of paradise. Like it's turning into like Puerto Rico 2.0. Like it's super nice. And a lot of American money is coming in because a lot of industries need a lot of like money there. So a lot of people that, hey, I can't grow anymore here in America. Let me go over there, start making hotel chains, you know? Let me start making da-da-da-da. And it's becoming a real like investor like hotspot. And in the property values, like my family has some homes over there, they shot up by like 30-35% because it's so safe now. And like now there's a nightlife there. Before there was a curfew, you couldn't be out, or like gang members, like you're looking for trouble if you're out at night, you know? Mm-hmm. So now there's like a nightlife. They have like clubs and stuff. Like that was not like, you couldn't imagine that back in the day, you know? And it's becoming like a super paradise. And I'm just like excited that, you know, my girlfriend outside, like hopefully we're going to go soon, you know, that'll be a lot of fun. Try to vlog it, you know, have like a lot of fun. That's why I also love like making content because like even I started like 6 months ago and I see myself 6 months ago and I was like super chubby, you know? And it's just so fun to see because like now I'm heading more to like the end of my like fitness journey a little bit because I used to be like 280. I was super big. Like I love the cheeseburgers here. You know what I mean? I was always at McDonald's eating Subway, eating fast food and stuff. And then I've been getting on my fitness, like tracking my calories, just doing math. You know, I have this many calories, just budgeting my calories. And like I'm down 100 pounds.
Congratulations.
In a year.
How you feeling?
I feel great, dude. Like I like feel like it was like a dream, you know? Like I was just, because I used to get tired just walking down the stairs and stuff. And like now, like I'm over here like beating my friends in basketball and stuff, you know? Like it's a lot of fun. And I used to hate taking pictures because I would be so shy, you know? I was over here with my hands, you know, putting a pillow in front of me. But like now, like I'm glad to be on video. I'm happy to be on camera just because like I know I'm like the best and the healthiest version I have ever been, you know? And I try to improve every year, you know? I'm doing this podcasting stuff, but I'm not neglecting my job, you know, and I'm trying to learn and educate myself, pick up a book here and there, listen to a lot of podcasts, especially about like money and stuff, and like trying to understand how these politics work and stuff. Cause like, I don't want to just be like completely blindsided by like what's happening, you know, in the country. I'm just trying to just keep up to date. I'm just like super happy to, you know, basically say that I grew up in America, you know, because I have a lot of family over there, and a lot of them have suffered so much, and a lot of them are like super poor. And you know, my mom and dad, like sometimes they send money over there to pay for like a kid's education or something, because education is so cheap but so unaffordable over there sometimes. You know, I just, you know, I'm just happy.
So let me ask you this: you are a product of someone coming here from another country, getting citizenship, and making a positive impact here in the U.S.
Yeah.
You came here, you got your citizenship the right way.
Yeah.
You got an education. You have a job. I did my homework on you. You are not a felon.
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not causing trouble. And you're doing right here in the U.S.
Yeah.
What is your stance on what's going on today with, immigrants coming into the country and Americans being so resistant to more immigrants coming into the country? What is your stance on that?
Yeah, I definitely understand that we're having an overpopulation problem here in America, especially with jobs and stuff. But you got to think about it, try to put yourself in like the higher ups like feet and be like, why are they allowing so many people to come into the country? Just because mental health here in America is so bad that like the young Americans don't want to work anymore because they feel like their time is just wasted, just basically enough for you to pay your bills and go back to work, for you to basically be a modern day slave and stuff. So a lot of these immigrants are coming in, are taking the base level jobs and stuff like that. So like I feel like we're all kind of pawns in this giant like chess game, and that's kind of what I have to say for it, because I can't just be over here like, oh, they don't deserve to enter the country because like I came in here, and like we planned on coming in illegally first, and then God got us in, the right way and stuff. So I can't blame them for trying to come here because other countries are just so just torn apart by politics, It's like all these giant government people stealing all the money. I remember this one time, apparently, Japan had donated like millions of dollars to El Salvador to try to help us get back on our feet. This was probably like 20 years ago. And then apparently that president at the time, he took all that money and he ran over to Honduras and paid the Honduras government to protect them. And he ran away with millions of dollars that were supposed to help like the country and stuff. So it's just all this giant politics and stuff is completely ruining the whole world, not just this country, the whole world, It's this giant chess game that like us pawns can't really be a part of, So I feel like everybody, us, like as Americans, like we just got to come together and basically just take back all our rights and stuff, you know what I mean? Like I definitely believe in having guns and stuff. Like I definitely understand it because I don't really want to get into much into that, but I know there's a lot of people coming in, and I can't really say anything bad about them because I did too,
Yeah. What was it 10 years ago that impacted what was going on in El Salvador? There was a president change, and when did and why did El Salvador start to make a change for the better? And the gangs the police were able to take control of El Salvador, I'm assuming, and rose above, no pun intended, rose above the gangs and whatnot.
Well, at least back then, like I was saying, they had a giant civil war. The civil war caused like a lot of people to start clicking up with other people in their towns. And that kind of created the gangs and stuff. And now imagine the corrupt politicians. They would influence elections over there. Like they would use the gang members. They would put somebody that benefit them in power. So it was corrupt all the way up to like probably the president, So imagine like the gang members are basically puppeteering the president, and the president like makes laws and makes it like hard for the police to do their job. So like corruption doesn't start from the bottom; it starts from the top. Actually. So that it was literally, like I was saying earlier, just the politics was completely destroying everybody's lives over there. Yeah.
Interesting. So you move back here. You move here for the first time into the Boston area at like 5 or 6 years old. You start going to school. What was it like for you transitioning into an elementary school here in the U.S. around a bunch of Americans? Were you speaking English at the time or no?
No, when I first got here, I wasn't speaking English. I got here like end of kindergarten. Like I remember, like I came to class, everybody already had their friends and stuff. But surprisingly, here in Somerville, where I grew up, Somerville, Massachusetts, over there we had a lot of like Spanish speakers. So I made friends pretty quick with a couple of Spanish speakers, and like they would translate for me. And by first grade, I already knew English Because when you're a kid, you're like a sponge. You absorb everything around you. So I was absorbing everyone speaking English. Everybody was just speaking English. So I picked it up pretty quick. I promise you, if I was around a bunch of like Chinese people, I'd probably know Mandarin, you know? That's how fast little kids, like, I have a little cousin, and she knows like 3 languages. And I'm like, how? You're like 12, you know? It's pretty impressive how kids just absorb everything around them.
Yeah. My daughter's 5 years old. She speaks 2 languages already. It's wild. It's the brain. The brain is in development at that time, and the brain is like a sponge. Were you bullied at all when you came into the U.S.?
I wasn't bullied. At least for like Hispanic people, we have our growth spurts like super early, and then we stop growing. Like I've been this height since like 6th grade, bro. Like I remember I was like the tallest kid, and then all of a sudden we go into high school, and all of a sudden like I go from the back row in pictures to like the middle row. You know, other kids start getting taller, but we usually have our growth spurts pretty early, and I was usually like the bigger kid in class, and I learned the language super fast, and I didn't really have like a thick like accent to it, so I got along pretty well. And I don't know, I always loved basketball, so that always connected me with black people and white people, because Hispanics usually didn't really play that, you know. But I loved basketball from a young age, so I always clicked up with like white kids, black kids, and I always showed love to people because I came from humble beginnings, so nobody really had any resentment or hatred towards me. And sometimes I would catch myself being rude to people, you know, and I had to check myself because I thought I was bigger than other people, and started being mean to people. But I've definitely realized that like the only way you get anywhere in life is by being nice to people, and not being a dickhead, you know. Just think about other people's feelings too before you say stuff, you know, because you never know how your words could affect somebody else.
Yeah. How are your parents doing now?
Oh, my dad is doing good. He actually works in the same like shop that I work at, like in metal finishing and stuff. That's how I got the job. He works there. He's doing good, and he doesn't have to, but he still works a second job. Like, because when he was getting extorted and stuff, he would work 2 full-time jobs and overtime, 7 days a week. You know, so that man was like nonstop. And even when we first entered the country, like I told you, he had a lot of loans that he had to pay and stuff. Like he was working 2 jobs full time. I remember when we first entered the country, we moved in with him, and he was living in the little room that he was renting from his sister. In that little room had like a bed in the corner, and we all had to take turns like sleeping on it, you know, like in pairs, or, you know, my sister, my brother, we were like smaller at the time. We would just take turns sleeping in the bed, and eventually we got our first apartment, and then eventually my dad got a car and stuff, and life started getting better. You know, we were living like the American dream: work hard, you know, play hard. We would go to water parks. We would go to the basketball court. We would do a lot of family activities. We would all go to church every Thursday, every Sunday. You know, my mom would always be like, "Don't forget about God, because He never turned His back on you. You know, so you don't turn your back on Him." And like that's why like I always have like these like internal struggles, just because like I sometimes feel like I turn my back on God. Like sometimes I'm doing wrong and stuff, and I haven't really been to church in a couple months, and my mom just keeps like, "Hey, I need to see you on Sunday. You know, like what are you doing?" And but you know, it's hard when you want to do so much stuff. Like here, you know, I got my podcast, I got a full-time job, I have a girlfriend. You know, we want to go out, we want to, you know. So it's always hard. But we used to live in. I always find it crazy. We used to live in one small room, probably this size, with a full-size bed in the corner. We used to take turns sleeping in it, and then eventually we get like a mat, like a sleeping mat, and now like we have a sleeping mat on the floor too. So now we basically have like 2 beds, and we were all like squished together. And now me and my girlfriend, in February of this year, we got our apartment together. Now we live together. You know, we're building our own lives. You know. We're just trying to get prepared, because I would want to be like a father, like from a young age. You know, I want to be one of those like young hip dads, you know, not one of like those older dads. I would love to have kids when I'm like 23, 24, you know, I'm 20 right now. And I'm just preparing myself for the future. And my parents are doing great. Actually, my mom has a business. She was always doing haircuts over there in El Salvador, and she got her cosmetology license here. And she opened her own small business. It wasn't going well for a couple of years, But then all of a sudden it picked up. She's doing great. You know, she gets to work the hours that she wants to work. You know, her business is like a 5-minute walk from her house. And we're just happy. You know, God gives us enough, but not too much to the point that we forget about him, you know. We're doing great. You know, I'm happy. I feel like the American dream is still real. A lot of people say that the American dream is dead. I think that it's still very much alive. You just got to work a little harder for it.
I think people are lacking the effort, exactly, and being a little lazy. That's why it's less and less likely that someone will live the American dream. Did you suffer from any PTSD seeing some of the things you saw at a young age?
I would say not really, because sometimes it feels like it's kind of like a little dream. I don't know, like little clips would come back into my head, but like I never really had to like take medicine or anything from it. Like it was just, I just know it happened, you know. I could remember like little glimpses of it and stuff, and I remember like the feeling I had at the time. But no, I wouldn't say that I don't have PTSD at all.
Well, it sounds like you have a conscious contact with God.
Yeah.
And you really believe in God. You do right by God. My next question was going to be, what are some of the tools that got you through those rough early years of your life and landed you here in the U.S.? What tools, you know, and I guess speak to God. God is one of those tools that help get you. You're extremely grateful today. I mean, there are people that have everything in this world that are not grateful. And you're doing great, but you had a rough road for a long time, and you're here today speaking about it. I could just hear how grateful you are through your voice. So,
yeah, I'm forever grateful, just because I wasn't sure that I was going to share this today, but for me to be here, so I used to have a kindergarten teacher over there in El Salvador, and a vice principal and a principal in the elementary school that I was going to in El Salvador. So when me, my sister, and my brother, we left El Salvador and we came here to America, when we first entered America, we started hearing news that my teacher and the vice principal and the principal were murdered at school, like after school hours. And then the talk of the town was that they were looking for us. They couldn't find us in our old home, because one day, I'm telling you, we just up and just left. So apparently they were murdered. They were found in a ditch. It's completely just like, that kind of haunts me a little bit, because when I'm being lazy, I tell myself, yo, get up, because 3 people are not here in this earth because of you, you know, because of you, your sister, your brother, just because you guys wanted to live, you know. That's how evil this world is. And at least like my teacher, she had a daughter, you know, and that didn't have a dad. So when her mom died, like, God knows what happened to her, you know. So I kind of think about it as like, it's like a trade, like 3 for 3, like 3 lives died for our 3 lives to just continue living. So sometimes, like, I've cried about like this, you know. That's why I'm kind of saying it like calmly. Like, I almost cried when I was doing the Ian Bick interview. But yeah, 3 people died for me to basically be sitting here today. So I'm always going to be forever grateful to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I know that I have a purpose in life. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm still searching, and hopefully I find it soon. But I'm not going to give up. Like, I'm always going to keep grinding, because life is too short, you know, and some people are not waking up today, you know, and I am. So I better do something, like go to work, come back home, film a podcast, do something, you know. I have a little like makeshift studio at home, like super ghetto, you know how it is.
That's awesome. Good for you. So if you could give one piece of advice to the person who's listening, who has no hope, isn't grateful, and their head is just not in the right space right now, what piece of advice would you have for them?
Well, it's all about your outlook in life and like your mindset. So like, let's say sometimes like I don't want to go to work and I hate my job some days, and I'm angry, I don't want to go to work. And then I tell myself, I'm like, dude, at least I have a job. And this job pays for the roof over my head. It pays for my car. You know, yeah, I want more, but I'm happy. You know, God at least gave me this job, and he knew that like having at least this job is going to keep me humble. Because if I was a millionaire now, I'd probably be single over here doing, nasty stuff and probably, doing a whole lot of drugs and stuff. Like, bro, I like got like one parking ticket like ever.
Lucky you, man. Lucky you. I can't say the same. Well, Gerson, thank you so much for coming on. You did
so much
great.
for
I
having me.
really appreciate you sharing your message. It's going to help a lot of people. And thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much.